Well, hey everybody. It's the 30th day of November 2025. I'm Jan Erickson and this is As Above, So Below. Well, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. We're about turkeyed out. There's a little bit left, but I didn't get a very big one, so I don't have enough to really freeze or anything like that. But let's go ahead and get started for this week's reading, and if I can get the last rune to end up in my hand, we'll be good to go here. Almost. There we go. So we have Isa. Isa's one of the Norn runes. Isa is the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, and so you're looking at a master number 11. I view Isa, it can mean ice, it can mean the present moment. I view it as alignment in higher awareness and higher consciousness. You can use it to envision that energy coming in, like if you're a Reiki person who does Reiki, either a practitioner or a Reiki master, you can envision that energy, a channel opening. And you could think of it as the prana tube, and then with all your chakras aligning with that. But it's that idea of opening to higher consciousness and freezing unwanted behavior. That's another one. It could be the stillness within, contraction, focus, will development. But although we'll see what the rest of the cards in the other rune has to say about this reading, but let's start out with the idea of opening and alignment with higher consciousness. And then if we have poor or something like that, which would be the little boy energy that's so mischievous and has such a lack of impulse control, then we might want to freeze unwanted behavior with it. So we'll see. Let's see, what do we have here? We have water. There's earth, fire, and air. So we have Acquisitio, which is gain. Acquisitio, though, is also not just about gain. You got Acquisitio and Emissio, which are each other's complements, so gain and loss. But as with Emissio, it's not purely that. It could mean acquiring things, but realistically, it can be excessive behavior as well as maybe overconfident, maybe being a little too adventuresome. Sagittarius is involved there. It's the fire element, and it's Jupiter and Sagittarius is the astrological correspondence for Acquisitio. But gain or increase, inspiration could be somebody where's either you're experiencing something that's inspiring or you are inspiring others. So goal-directed success. It could be fortune, but on the other hand, I think when you align in higher consciousness, if we're going to go that way with it, and you have Acquisitio, what you gain from that is far more than aligning in the ego. Or aligning in Emissio, where loss is just so present in your life that you're hesitant to engage in things like that with other people. You need more reliability. You're pretty insecure. But with Acquisitio, it could mean that there's some success involved here. If we are talking, though, about overconfidence and excessive behavior, which is the downside of Acquisitio, then Isa could talk about aligning in higher consciousness so that you freeze unwanted ego-based behavior. Your focus is there. And so let's see what the cards have to say, though. I've already done some shuffling, but we'll just do a little bit more. So I changed up on the blog how I do the weekly posts. It's just going to be in one newsletter format, which is what I used to do when I used to send out newsletters. It was just the stuff for the week in the newsletter, plus, other things I might put in there that if you just wanted to see stuff ahead of time, you'd get the newsletter on Saturdays. And I just decided to add an herbal section to rather than a separate post. And I did that today. The first one of those is called Mystic Insights, and it has the time frame. And I don't know. I'll see how I feel about that. Yeah, everything's a work in progress always, but so far I like it. I'm starting next week's, or well, not next week, but the week after. The work I do for next week, I'm starting that already. And I like just being able to do it there instead of doing it in a separate format and then copying it over. So I like it so far, but we'll see. Well, this is a court card extravaganza here. 2 from Pentacles, so we have a run on Pentacles, we have the King and the Knight, and then we have the Queen of Wands. So this is going to be an interesting thing. Let's talk about them first. There's not going to be, the 11 is going to be the number for Issa, and that's the only number we're going to have, because with the court, remember, there are no numbers assigned to it. But when you're talking about Pentacles, you're talking about the earth element, and so that could be anything about your physical reality. It could be your work. It could be tradition. It could be education. It could be home life. It's a very Othala type of... Othala is the 24th rune of the Elder Futhark, and it's an earth element rune. But you're also talking about you're talking about prosperity and loyalty and security and peace. When I see the Pentacles, I think material security initially. So there could be something that if you align in higher consciousness today with Issa and you freeze unwanted behavior that's impulsive, then you may be in a position to increase your success with acquisitio. With the King of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles, you're talking about the Knight is trustworthy and dependable and practical and realistic, and he's there to offer help to people. But if you think of the cards, you can think of it as the individual on the card itself or the qualities therein. And when you take a more practical approach, then it sort of reduces the amount of impulsivity that gets in the way of things. And if this is something where you're trying to, it's a project at work, or if you own a business, or you're an entrepreneur or a craftsman of some kind, whatever it is, you're building something and you need to stay focused. You need to not let ego get in the way of it to where you start making shortcuts and things like that to get to the finish line, essentially. If you really, really want to be successful, you need to probably embody the Knight, where they're dependable and practical and realistic. The King, again, with all kings, they're the older man in authority. And again, it can be you. You could be the boss of whatever this situation is, or you could be a self-employed person where it's just you. And you have to have you have to have a grounded and practical type of sense of authority about what you're doing. The King of Pentacles is typically successful. You can see all the grapes on him, on his robes. Grapes is about abundance. And so you can see a very abundant situation there with him. He's probably the one king I like. In the Rider-Waite. The others, I don't know. They're iffy. But you can see the kingdom in the background, and he's just surrounded by all of his wealth and security and success. So I think you're looking, he's also somebody who's concerned with legacy, but he's steadfast and responsible, just like the Knight. It's like the Knight grows in. If the Knight is his son, represents his son, maybe he grows in at some point and takes over the throne and becomes the king. And so you have that sense of, and because the Queen of Wands is bookended with him, They're the more, when you look at Pentacles in the earth element, you're looking at a passive influence. That and water, those are passive influences, receptive influences. Now, fire and air, which would be swords and wands, would be the projective or masculine type of and whereas pentacles and cups and the earth and the water element would be the feminine side. I don't like to use masculine and feminine because to me it gets confusing. People think you're talking about gender, and it's not. Masculine would be the projective and active principle or energy, and the feminine would be the passive and the receptive balance there that you strike, and you'll have both energies within you. It's just one's going to be probably a little stronger than the other, or it can rise to the occasion, and in the moments where you need it to be, can be a little stronger than the other. It just depends on the situation and the impact you want it to have. But here we have passive and receptive influences surrounding someone who is the Queen of Wands. And she's strict. She's an older woman in authority. She is somebody that has tremendous fire energy. She's motivated. She's about new opportunities. She's somebody who is very talented, very successful. So the theme here, this may even have to do with women who are watching the reading more so than men, or if you're a man, maybe you need to be that supportive influence for the woman in your life. It could be something like that, or you're a woman who has support or needs support from the men in your life, the more male influences in your life. More practical kinds of ways of seeing things, and more dependable and reliable. And also very responsible. So in a way, if you're a woman then listening to this reading, it could be that you need to align in higher consciousness and see the value of striking a balance between the projective and receptive energies within, so that you can then go out and in a very dependable and practical and responsible way, but still be motivated to succeed and to build a future for yourself. You have situations where women are still told that the only thing that you're good for, I like what was the word that was used? You're a vessel, right? Really? and that they've the idea of removing some of the more female oriented, and I'm not sure what the numbers are, but at least historically, some of the degrees you can get, advanced degrees and just, your bachelor's degree, but if it's advanced degrees like master's or PhD, they've removed some of the curriculum there and the professions that you can go and get a degree in. If my understanding is right, they've decided now that you can, it's going to be harder to get financial aid to go to school. So that may limit some women who can go to school and get higher education and go out in the workforce and be, a professional in the workforce. And because they're just saying, well, no, that really you shouldn't be able to have things like that. And so if that's the case, then you'll see less women in the workforce. And of course, I guess they're supposed to stay home and have babies. Well, not every woman wants to do that. And even if you do, you want to find a way to strike a balance between work life and home life. So whatever choice you want to make, if you want to stay home and have children and not work, that's certainly a choice any woman can make, but it shouldn't be something that the state says you have to do or the federal government says you have to do. And so you don't want to eliminate any kind of support for women out there in the workforce, because we're still not paid the same as men for doing the same kind of work. So there's still that going on. And so this could just be something where maybe the focus is a woman today, the Queen of Wands, where you're out there and you're the authority, or at least you're being an authority in your own life to make that decision to go out in the world and pursue new opportunities, be motivated, and express your talents, express your generosity of spirit in helping other people, and to help elevate them as you've elevated yourself. You want to help elevate other people. But you also have to be able to not get so caught up in the moment of it all, and forget to kind of take a look at a situation through practical eyes, essentially, and to make sure that what you're working for is in fact going to be lucrative and increase your material security. And so I think that it's almost like, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you're in a marriage with somebody, and you are and it's with a man, and you have maybe a family as well, some children there as well, and maybe it's something where you're going back to school or going back to work or something, and you have to have the ability to do that, and it takes support from the family at home to give you the space to do that. Instead of trying to do everything yourself, you'll have the support of your partner, and irrespective of the type of marriage that you have, if it's a marriage or just a partnership, you need that support from others in your orbit there to help keep you motivated and on track and pursuing the goals that you've set for yourself. And again, doesn't come from a place of ego. It comes from a place of higher awareness with Isa. And so you align in that, and you make sure that you are not giving into impulse. You're not giving into ego, that you stay focused and work diligently, and be grounded in that idea that I'm not just here doing this for myself. I'm doing this for my family as well, in the same way that a man would have done, right? And so now that we see a lot of pushback, if you will, at least in our country, where women are not being as supported as they need to be, or appreciated for what they contribute. I guess one of the professions is nursing. I saw that and I started laughing. Doctors are fine, but it's the nurses that keep things running. And so I'm sorry, it is. It doesn't matter if it's in the medical field or if it's in the dental field or whatever it is. It's the people around you that keep things going so that you can do what you do, right? So to take away nursing as a profession that you can get financial aid for, that's anathema to me. It is. And so insulting, and it's just, I mean, it's like you just, I mean, a protest isn't going to do it, right? I don't know what it's going to take to awaken people to this fundamental truth that each one of us has this right within to be able to make of ourselves whatever we want. And it does not have to be an either or situation. You're either home with the babies and raising the kids, or you're working. And oh my gosh, if you're working, then you're not taking care of your spouse properly, So it's that kind of stuff. So I think this is kind of interesting how I drew these cards. You've got both the king and the knight. They're people that take care of people. They're out there protecting people. The knight is out there protecting people, while the king protects the kingdom and increases the wealth so that people can have a nice place to live and can be paid for the work that they do, and so it's a win-win for everybody, versus somebody that just goes hog wild, does what he wants to do, or she does what she wants to do at the expense of everybody else. And sometimes when you're talking about the more active principles like air and fire, and swords and wands respectively, then you're talking about things that can get out of control, and maybe you don't take into account what's happening around you. And so I think that that might be something that the queen is going to benefit from with this reading, where she's got the support she needs, that she's got people in her corner that are loyal to her and support her and want to see her succeed. And then that way she can take she and her little cat there, her little familiar, I love the way the cat's the queen's not looking us in the eye, but the cat is, and it's like, well, what do you want? She's busy. So, but she's got all this energy, and she's got the sunflower there in her left hand, holding the staff in her right, and she's ready for the success that can be hers, to make her way in the world and be successful at what she does. And I think that this is just describing a scenario where for anybody to do that in a family setting, there has to be support from the people that live there, that are benefiting from it as well. So I think that's a reflection of higher consciousness. I think that's a more Isa defined thing, being the 11th rune of the major or of the Elder Futhark, not the major arcana, but of the Elder Futhark. You're looking master number 11, which is awakening and enlightenment and illumination, to see the benefit of having a balance in your life, either within yourself, embodying the qualities of the King of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles as you, a woman, go out and make your way and pursue new opportunities. The idea of doing so for material security and protection and of those that are in your life. If you have a family and you're trying to do this, it's not easy right now. And it just seems this trend about women and this attitude, this negative and hostile attitude about women that are successful. It's like, oh, there's something wrong with her if she's successful. She's, thinking only about herself. Well, that's never said about a man, is it? It just isn't. And so, whatever type of partner relationship you're in, for you to go out and do what you need to do, you need to either be grounded, have some grounding about yourself, and in something that's practical and structured and that can help you build a life for yourself and possibly for your family if you have a family. So I think that's it. I think it's just this may be just a reminder here this week that if that's what's happening in your life, if you're pursuing an education, or perhaps you've graduated and now you're pursuing a job, a career, opening a business, it's easy to get wrapped up in the newness of everything and forget about why you're doing it, and to have that sense of inner balance that Isa also talks about. Have that inner balance that's grounded in higher consciousness versus ego. And then you're able to see the bigger picture of why you're doing it, and how it benefits people in your life. And in turn, if it's not talking about your own inner authority that you're doing this with, and the balance that you have, that's an inner type of a balance, then it could be talking about having that balance in your home life, where there are people that are going to be there for you and support you and cheer you on, and so that you can go out and excel and shine in your own right. So, and then that would be the gain in your life with Acquisitio, where you get that success and that just helps you move forward in life. So anyhow, I think that's it. I don't think we need another card. I think, however this resonates for you, either in terms of the family life that you get support from, or learning how to support yourself through being grounded in pragmatism and practicality and realism, basically. Responsibility, being aware of your responsibilities. Either way it resonates. I think that I do think that this is a reading for a woman, So today for the week, and I think that's it. So the little bit of snow we got this morning, it's still on the deck, but you know, not really, not a snowpocalypse yet. So my husband keeps saying, I'm going to take you out and show you again how to start that snowblower for our 800-foot driveway, just in case, But I need to know, because I forget. He just shows me, and then I don't do it. He does it, but if something happened and I needed to, I got to know. So maybe it was really, really cold though today, so we didn't go out and do that. But anyway, thanks for watching. And check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there again is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video and a window will open and it'll be right there. The web address will be right there. And check out the new format on the blog. I publish on the midnight hour on Sunday mornings. And it's just going to be the one plus the write-up for this, the reading notes for this reading. And so that will, I don't know, I just thought I'd try it. So see what you think. And come back again next Sunday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.